They discovered the shocking truth behind what to let go for spiritual freedom. Few knew what truly happened that night in the small village of Gennesaret. The moon hung low, a silver coin shimmering on a dark glass sea. Fishermen, weary from their nightly toil, crowded the shores, their faces etched in confusion and fear. Whispers of a miracle had begun to ripple through the air. A figure seen walking on water, a sight that twisted the fabric of reality and left hearts racing. Just moments before, the disciples had faced a storm. The winds howled, waves crashed like thunder against their boat. Panic gripped their hearts, but then there he was. A silhouette against the fury of the tempest, calm in the chaos. They blinked, eyes wide in disbelief. Could it be? Was it truly him? In that moment, Peter, filled with a mix of yearning and fear, called out, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water." The tension thickened, the kind that clings to the skin and wraps around the soul. What if he stepped out, only to sink into the depths? But what if he flew? Or rather, walked upon the very surface of what held him captive? The moonlight caught the glimmer of boiling waves and the desperate hope in Peter's heart. He stepped out. A miracle unfolded. Each step felt like a heartbeat, steady, alive. But soon, doubt crept in, cold and biting. He looked around, fear surged, and before he knew it, he was plunging. "Lord!" A scream escaped his lips, filled with anguish. But there was no time to dwell. In a heartbeat, the warm grasp of Jesus' hand encircled his wrist, pulling him from the brink. Deep breaths exchanged, the mixture of relief and terror hovered around them like fog. Why did Peter walk? Why did he sink? What did that night mean for all those witnesses, their hearts pounding in sync with the crashing waves? Each one must have wondered. Each one left with questions that gnawed at their spirit. Were they ready to let go of fear for faith, of doubt for freedom? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The dawn broke gently over the village of Gennesaret, painting the horizon with soft hues of orange and pink. The chaos of the previous night gave way to quietude, yet the hearts of the fishermen remained restless. They gathered in small groups along the shoreline, speaking in hushed tones. The waters, now tranquil, reflected the heavens in a deceptive calm that seemed to echo the turmoil still thrumming within their chests. As the sun ascended, illuminating the jealous sky, the news of Peter's encounter with the divine spread like wildfire. Those who had witnessed the event marveled at it, recalling their awe and fear with every retelling. "He walked upon the sea," was the refrain, but among the murmurs was another less triumphant, more introspective. "He sank." The villagers, captivated by the extraordinary tale of faith and folly, pondered the interplay of confidence and doubt, of belief and the all-too-human struggle that envelopes the spirit. It was here, among the whispers of the crowd, that another question life inched its way to the forefront: what did it truly mean to have faith? While the sun rose steadily, Peter stood apart from the others, his breath still mingling with the seawater that clung to his skin. With eyes fixed on the horizon, he wrestled with his own reflection, a combination of bravery and weakness. The world felt different now, seasoned with the salt of revelation. Steps upon the waves were not merely a miracle, they were an invitation to something much deeper. What was the lesson? He mused silently. Suddenly, the gentle lap of the waves turned into sounds of hushed reverence as whispers began to settle. There he was again, a figure emerging from the morning mist, seemingly gliding above the water's edge. The disciples' gaze fixated on him, their hearts evoking a mix of fear and wonder, yet Peter felt a familiar pull. He did not see merely a man, he saw the essence of hope stringing together all who yearned for more than their earthly binds. "Lord," he called out, voice trembling yet firm in resolve, "are you here to lead us away from fear?" Each word hung in the air like the lightness of the morning dew, tender yet laden with the weight of expectation. With an outstretched hand, the Lord beckoned him. "Come and follow," was the call that soared through the stillness, carrying the promise of understanding. Peter's heart fluttered. This was not just a physical journey across the water, but a leap into the unknown realms of faith, where certainty was surrendered, and the soul's capacity to seek grew nourished. The other disciples held their breath, gazing upon the unfolding scene. They perceived not only Peter's struggle with doubt but the very concept of stepping into the unknown, a challenge as ancient as humanity itself. As Peter hesitated for a moment, facing the vastness ahead of him, doubts whispered within, echoing the fear of the storm once again. But could this be a chance to break free? To truly find his place among the waves of life, not just as a fisherman of fish, but a fisher of souls. The truth that dawned on him was profound yet unsettling. What would it mean to follow if it required letting go of what he knew? The morning light began to burn the mists away, revealing both the landscape of Gennesaret and the internal landscape of conviction that formed among the onlookers. And so, the villagers stared not just at Peter, but at their own fears and desires. "Will you trust?" echoed through Peter's mind as he lingered at the edge, wondering not only what lay beneath the water but what awaited him beyond the shores of his heart's resolve. As the waves danced beneath him, he took a deep breath, contemplating not just the choice to step forward, but the unraveling mystery of faith itself. What does it mean to part the depths of uncertainty, to leave behind certainty, all for the promise of deeper understanding? Each man, woman, and child, they wrestled with their truths as a new day unfurled, leaving behind yet another question that shimmered above the surface of their hearts: what must we let go of to truly walk with him? The villagers watched in a hushed grip of anticipation as Peter's heart thumped in his chest, fervently urging him to step forward. He remained poised on the precipice of faith, the voice of the Lord still echoing in his ears, reverberating through the very fiber of his being. Was it mere folly to venture beyond all he knew? As he stood between the safety of the shore and the treacherous embrace of the sea, time held its breath along with him. Finally, yielding to the call, Peter drew a deep breath and lifted his foot, resting it lightly above the waves. The moment seemed to crystallize, a stillness hanging in the air. As he placed his foot down, a jolt of divine energy surged through him, the sensation both exhilarating and terrifying. The water, usually a symbol of chaos, now felt like solid ground as he took that fateful first step. With every subsequent step, the lines made by doubt began to blur. Each movement brought him closer not only to the Lord but also to the depths of his own spirit. The villagers, transfixed, could see the transformation etched upon his features. There was a lightness, a liberation burgeoning from within. Yet within that divine invitation, unspoken tension simmered just beneath the surface. Behind Peter, the others felt the impulse to follow him play out in the inner chambers of their hearts. Andrew, his brother, who had only just grasped the power of the unknown, felt the yearning to join his brother, to trek across the waves toward the one who had called them. But would he be able to shake off the burdens that anchored him? What strengthenings and reckonings must the men endure to venture into the depths of their own faith struggles? As Peter advanced further, his focus trained on the figure before him, a voice pierced through the stillness, laced with a mix of apprehension and desire. "Lord, if it is really you, tell me to come to you." It was another disciple, perhaps James, his tone crawling with a hopeful agony. The moment was fraught with longing, the desire to break through the limits of human reasoning, to emerge from the shadows of uncertainty. "Come," said Jesus, extending his hand, inviting them to partake in a journey into the unknown. The invitation hung there, shimmering just like the sun-kissed water beneath their feet. As the words washed over the group, a chorus of hesitation mingled with the yearning hearts gathered by the shore. A true test of faith lay before them. Peter felt the waves gently lap against him, reminding him of the turmoil lurking beneath the surface. "This journey is ours to share," he thought, glancing back at his fellow disciples, eyes filled not just with determination but also with a dawning understanding that faith is a collective voyage. What is it that binds each of us to the shore? What is the anchor that holds us from stepping into the miraculous? With an exquisite slowness, Andrew took his first tentative step, emboldened by the sight of his brother paving a path through the waters. One by one, hearts clung to the stirring possibility. The villagers, eyes wide, became witnesses not just of what was unfolding upon the water, but of the deeper truths that were swirling within. And yet, beneath the vibrant activity of faith grazing the surface was a deep, unsettling reality. Each disciple held their burdens in a fierce grip, doubts, fears, and past transgressions that tugged them back, like an invisible chain keeping them from the expanse of spiritual freedom. The implications of letting go of worldly attachments pressed heavily on each heart. Is it truly easy to leave behind the familiar? They pondered as they watched Peter, Andrew, and the others step into an uncertain realm. What must we surrender to walk this path towards spiritual truth? The question loomed large, merging with the glistening waters, pulling at the very fabric of their beings as they leaned both on faith and each other. As every pulse of a wave mirrored the quiet tumult within, the villagers found themselves caught not just in the spectacle, but in a moment that dared them to reflect inward. Could they, too, recognize the chains that prevented them from answering the call? What did it truly mean to be light upon the waters, and what would they have to abandon to rise above the depths of their own fears? As Peter boldly ventured further onto the sea, each step beneath him seemed to amplify the intricate dance of belief and doubt that stirred within those who watched. His heart raced, not just from exhilaration, but from the weight of the collective anticipation of the villagers. They stood as witnesses, caught between the tangible world they knew and the enigmatic mystery unfolding before their eyes. With each footfall, Peter felt the currents of faith pulling him while the shadows of uncertainty brushed against the edges of his consciousness. He recalled the teachings of Jesus, the parables and the words shared over meals that spoke of surrender, trust, and the unfathomable depth of divine love. This act is not just for me, he thought, glancing back at Andrew, their eyes locking for a fleeting moment filled with unspoken understanding. It is for all of you. As if sensing Peter's reflections, Andrew's heart swelled with a mixture of longing and apprehension. He hesitated on the cusp of possibility, torn between the safety of the shore and the promise of transformation that lay beyond. What if I falter, he mused, feeling the familiar weight of insecurities tighten around him like a net. Yet, the invitation to transcend fear beckoned irresistibly, a siren call intertwined with the soft whispers of hope. Lord, if it is really you, Andrew murmured in prayer, uncertainty hanging in the air, call to me. A gentle voice echoed back, reaching beyond the waves, come. At that moment, Andrew felt the winds shift. Warmth enveloped his chest, a divine affirmation that he was seen, loved, and invited into something far greater than himself. Peter noticed his brother's movement, and in the space of that exchange, the barrier of doubt fell away. Andrew, emboldened by his brother's steps and the comforting presence of Jesus, took his initial stride into the unknown. The water welcomed him, not as a tumultuous obstacle but as a medium connecting him with the divine. The other villagers watched, holding their breath as another soul broke free from the constraints of fear. Suddenly, a rustle of voices stirred among the remaining disciples. Thomas clutched his arms tightly, watching Peter and Andrew forge paths over the waves. What about us? He pondered, wrestling with both yearning and skepticism. Are we to merely stand by, as spectators to this miracle? Will we remain in the shackles of our doubt? Among them was Philip, who felt the weight of the question resonate within. What if we lack the faith? What if, like Peter, we sink beneath the surface? What will that say about our belief? He wrestled with the image of Jesus, inviting them all as one body, yet feeling more like a branch severed from the vine, unwilling to let go of the safety of the shoreline. But then, a revelation pierced the atmosphere. What if our burdens are but shadows, mere illusions? He whispered, pondering if perhaps the true chains holding them back were the fears they harbored inside. What if the very act of stepping out is precisely what would unravel our knots? As the villagers listened intently, they reflected on the very nature of faith. The piercing question remained, what must they let go of to embrace the spiritual liberation shining before them? Each heart wrestled with the weight of their uncertainties, allowing the silence to encompass them fully, and at this poignant moment, the light of understanding began to dawn. What was it that the disciples and the villagers sought, if not the profound truth of divine connection? Could they find the courage to release their fears, as Peter had begun to? Is spiritual freedom born of our willingness to abandon the known? Thought one villager, surrendering to the quiet resolve building within. Each step toward the shoreline revealed to them the path diverging from doubt, inviting them to wade into the mystery alongside their friends. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the sea, Peter, Andrew, and indeed all who bore witness, stood before an uncharted reality. The question now echoed amidst their hearts and the horizon. In reaching for the divine, what must we be willing to shed from our very essence to answer the truth that beckons? As the sun kissed the horizon, the sky draped itself in a tapestry of oranges and purples, reflecting the stirring awe among the villagers. Each gaze fixated on the two brothers navigating the ethereal expanse of the sea, and yet, an invisible bond tethered the onlookers to the shore. In their hearts, a tempest brewed, born from longing, fear, and an insatiable desire for profound understanding. With every step Peter and Andrew took, ripples spread across the water, echoing the unspoken desires of those gathered. They saw their journeys, tiny yet significant, and felt the gravity of their decisions clashing against their own reservations. Some began to speak quietly, sharing their thoughts, their voices weaving a delicate tapestry of collective uncertainty. Do you think they will really walk to him? A woman whispered to her neighbor, her brow creasing in concern. What if the depths swallow them whole? An older man, his hair white as the foamy waves, leaned closer. And what if this act is calling us to do the same? What if the Lord's invitation extends to us all? We have merely to trust, but trust is not so easily given. Amid the murmurings, the specter of doubt loomed large over Thomas. Their faith may hold them up, and yet will ours. Every step they take is weighed with light, yet we stand burdened in shadows of indecision. His heart, a battleground, wrestled with the loss of control he felt in reaching forward to the unknown, seizing the moment. Philip voiced what lingered unacknowledged among the crowd. But isn't it in the very act of confronting our doubts that we encounter the divine? If the brothers fall, what does it matter? They have lambasted their fear to clasp the hand of the divine. With these words, a flicker of hope ignited in their midst. Gradually, the crowd began to turn inward, reflecting on their own fears, their own past laden with disappointment and disbelief. They learned from the rhythmic dance of the waves that life held lessons even within struggle, a reminder that faith often required a sacrificial letting go. Could our burdens be transformed? A young voice rang out, filled with both tremulous hope and curiosity. What if we are to leave behind those very parts of ourselves that no longer serve us? The ripple effect of this revelation spread, as others began to contemplate their own cages, constructed from remnants of doubt and inadequacy. Meanwhile, on the water, Peter's heart beat in unison with the waves and winds that danced around him. In the distance, Jesus stood a beacon of assurance, his eyes filled with love and promise. Lord, he called out, feeling the weight of the moment, is it truly in the letting go that we find our wings? As Andrew moved beside him, a quiet strength filled the air. Together, they exchanged a glance, the unspoken energy between them intertwining faith and vulnerability. With every wave that brushed against their feet, they felt the boundaries of their limitations begin to blur. They were learning anew that each step was not merely a journey over water but an exploration of the solar pilgrimage towards something transformative. Yet, back on the shore, the villagers remained caught in their own turbulence. What personal fears haunt us most? One elder pondered aloud. What is it that we must release to experience this divine current? As the brothers ventured further, a sudden gust of wind surged, causing Andrew to falter for a moment before steadying himself again on the unyielding surface. It was a reminder to them all that even in the pursuit of faith, challenges and uncertainties would arise. Their breakthrough was not a guarantee of smooth sailing, but rather a commitment to navigate through the storms that may lie ahead. The sun now hovered low, illuminating the scene with a soft, golden light. Peter and Andrew continued making their way to Jesus, but the path before them remained fraught with the unknown. The encounter with the divine awaited them, yet the struggle to reach it echoed the eternal question, what must be laid down to truly embrace the rising light of spiritual freedom? As the villagers watched, hearts full yet torn, one lingering question hung in the air. In our own search for the divine, what burdens do we cling to that may blind us from the freedom that awaits beyond the waves? As the dimming light of day surrendered to the embrace of twilight, Peter and Andrew pressed on, each step weighed with the gravity of unanswered questions swirling in their hearts. The waves lapped gently around them, as if urging them forward, whispering tales of hope and wisdom they had yet to fully understand. There, just ahead, Jesus awaited them, a figure both familiar and yet otherworldly. The shoreline was alive with murmurs, the villagers now a tapestry of emotion, their worries and hopes woven delicately through the air. What if they are truly called to do more than we imagine? A woman mused, her voice barely rising above the sound of the tide. Could it be that they are stepping into roles we are too afraid to accept? This truth resonated deeply within Thomas, who grasped suddenly at the thought of purpose. Does fear not stem from our own limitation of identity? He asked, the words stumbling forth as if he had suddenly come into clarity. Maybe they are not merely seeking to reach the Master but to become beacons of faith themselves. Each heartbeat echoed the urgency of self-reflection, revealing how their shared doubts painted shadows over their potential. Meanwhile, Peter halted at the cusp of the water, searching the horizon where the sky kissed the sea's edge. Anxiety clutched at him as he questioned the deeper meaning behind their unusual journey. Lord, he called to Jesus, his voice trembling with earnestness, what is it that we must leave behind to follow you? What depths must we dive into, and what fears should we shed? Jesus' gaze softened, and a stillness settled in the air. Come, he beckoned, his voice resonating with profound authority yet gentle warmth. It is not fear you must leave behind, but the weight of what binds your spirit. Each burden you clutch tightens your heart, it is in the releasing that you will find your solace. Andrew, too, was filled with yearning, the urge to comprehend this deeper truth welling up inside him. But how do we know what is meant to be released? How can we discern our attachments from necessities? His question hung in the air, ripe with the weight of personal struggle and the courage to know. The crowd, emboldened by the unfolding scene, began to reflect anew upon their own lives, their burdens casting long shadows across their hearts. Isn't it often the familiar that holds us prisoner? One elder spoke, his voice steady yet thoughtful. We cling to our past out of fear of the unknown. Could it not be a barrier between us and our true essence? An answer stirred within them, unsettling yet enlightening, as they recognized the emotional chains forged from both past triumphs and failures. Each side breath held question marks, each moment felt suspended in a strange yet sacred acknowledgement of their collective struggles. As Peter stepped closer to Jesus, the waves began to rise and fall more furiously around him, mirroring the chaos within. "I long for clarity," he said, eyes alight with earnestness. "But what if letting go means losing parts of ourselves we hold dear?" In this restless exchange, they felt the sacred tension of vulnerability enveloping them, as Jesus smiled knowingly. "Dear Peter, release is not loss but transformation. Embrace the transience of your vessel, only then will you discover the light within." Even storms serve their purpose in shaping the soul. With these words, the atmosphere thickened with understanding and fear alike. The villagers gazed across the sea, contemplating the challenging beauty of surrendering their tightly held convictions and expectations. Meanwhile, the shifting horizon mirrored the echoes of the brothers' hearts as they stood on the precipice of faith and doubt, vulnerable yet resolute. Their quest unveiled itself further with each question, each hesitation an odyssey leading them both closer to Jesus and deeper into their own identities. As twilight began its final descent, casting a softened hue over the land, the villagers found themselves entwined in an unexpected epiphany. What if their very identities were not tethered to what they feared to lose but to the essence of what they chose to embrace? And so, as Peter and Andrew carried the weight of their journey onward, a new thought rippled through the crowd, leaving them reflective and questioning. In our longing for connection and understanding, what burdens must we dare to release to find true freedom in the divine? As night draped its velvet cloak over the landscape, a hush fell upon the gathering. The glow of flickering torches cast dancing shadows along the damp sand, illuminating anxious faces etched with hope and uncertainty. The air seemed charged with the sacred gravity of possibility, a palpable tension that pulled at the hearts of those assembled. "Lord," Thomas called out, his voice a mix of trepidation and fervor, "is it truly possible to be free from the chains of our past? Can we transcend our mistakes and the burdens we carry?" His eyes flickered like the flames, searching for reassurance, seeking a profound understanding of the essence of grace. Jesus stood amidst the gathering, his presence unwavering, with a countenance reflecting both strength and serenity. "In every soul is the potential for renewal," he replied, his tone imbued with a gentle authority. "To let go is to embrace the divine alchemy that transforms pain into purpose. Your fears, your failures, they are but stones on the path, not the path itself. Only in your willingness to release what no longer serves you will you awaken to the freedom that awaits." Amidst the sacred exchange, Andrew's voice emerged, steady yet contemplative. "But, Master, what if the very act of letting go reveals more questions than answers? What if the freedom we seek leads us into unknown trials, one that we are unprepared to endure?" Facing the Master, he sought solace in the ambiguity of faith. "Oh, dear Andrew," Jesus replied, his gaze enveloping him like a warm embrace, "the journey of faith is not a map drawn in ink but a tapestry woven with threads of uncertainty. Each step taken in trust is a brushstroke added to the masterpiece of your life. Embrace the unknown, therein lies the adventure of your spirit's awakening. Fear not your trial, for it is a stepping stone to deeper understanding." As the words settled like morning dew, the villagers became reflectively quiet, the gravity of the moment deepening within their hearts. An elder, burdened yet wise, spoke from the depths of his soul. "In my years I have held tightly to memories, both sweet and bitter. How can I begin to unravel my heart from the past to breathe life into the present?" As he spoke, the wind shifted slightly, rustling through the nearby palm trees, almost as if nature itself was pondering the elder's inquiry. To share those memories, to release their whole true stories, this is how we honor the past while holding tenderly to the present, Jesus responded, the light in his eyes flickering with wisdom. Healing is not forgetting, it is a form of remembering that brings forth strength rather than sorrow. The deeper truth began to unfold for Peter and Andrew. The very essence of their being was not anchored solely in the weight of their former lives but hinged upon the transformative potential of their choices. "What must we do, Lord?" Peter asked, emboldened by a flickering flame of determination. "What path must we walk to let go of this burden and step into the light?" "Journey inward, dear Peter. Seek not just the release of your fears, but cultivate the seeds of compassion, love, and understanding for yourselves and others," Jesus fostered, his countenance illuminating their path. "With each release, you will uncover layers of your true selves, brightening the light of your spirits." This assertion ignited a flame of curiosity and courage within the hearts of the crowd. They murmured among themselves, reflecting on the essence of their own struggles and their desires for transformation. Could the fears they held actually be curtains shielding them from a deeper reality? The air thickened with the weight of questions, and apprehensions were gently unfurled like blossoms in spring. Each soul present was left with ripe inquiries, reveling in both disturbance and yearning. As they contemplated the call to release what held them captive, a question lingered, deep and unresolved: what if the freedom we sought could only be found at the intersection of vulnerability and trust in the divine? The moon hung high, a luminous witness to the congregation's thoughts as they lingered in the sacred space, the sound of distant waves mingling with the soft rustling of leaves. Each heart was a vessel, brimming with questions that echoed in the stillness: could they truly grasp the whispers of freedom? What if surrendering their past would mean confronting a truth far more daunting than they had anticipated? As silence enveloped them, Jesus turned his gaze outward toward the stars specking the night sky. You seek answers like a traveler yearning for a map. Yet, not all journeys can be charted in advance, he said, his voice steady and soothing. Do not fear the currents of your own heart, instead, allow each wave to carry you deeper into your own essence. The first glimmers of dawn began to break, painting the horizon with tones of gold and crimson, ringing like a clarion call to the assembled crowd. Philip stepped forward, brimming with a raw eagerness. But Master, what lies beyond this door of letting go? What if our desires lead us into shadows rather than light? His brown head together, reflecting both courage and apprehension. The unknown can be terrifying, beloved Philip, Jesus replied, a knowing smile gracing his lips. But also, it is a fertile ground for growth. When you let go of the familiar, you make space for the unfamiliar blessings that await. Trust in the process, for in the shadows lies the opportunity for divine illumination. As sunlight began to spill into the gathering place, each person felt awake in a new way. The elder who had spoken earlier raised his voice, rich with insight gained from countless seasons of trial and error. Is there not a balance, Master? Should one not tread carefully, weighing what to release against what to keep? For our past is also a teacher, is it not? Indeed, wise elder, the past holds both lessons and burdens, Jesus acknowledged, his expression contemplative. In the art of letting go, discernment is your ally. It is not a sweeping away, but a gentle unveiling of that which serves your highest calling. Let each memory be examined through the lens of love. Those that hasten your spirit toward light retain their essence, while those that shackle you must gently be set free. The crowd exchanged glances, the weight of these revelations settling them in a shared contemplation. The notion of discernment sparked a flicker of hope within their hearts. Andrew's brow creased further with intrigue. Master, how do we discern the lessons from the burdens? How do we truly know what to release? Jesus paused, collecting the essence of his thoughts, and then spoke with profound clarity. You must listen to the rhythms of your heart. Each burden carries a story. Your spirit knows intuitively what nourishes it and what seeks to drain it. In moments of prayer and reflection, allow the truth to surface. Your spirit yearns for freedom, and it will guide you. A slight breeze encircled the gathering, an unseen current of divine breath. It stirred emotions, like leaves caught in a gentle breeze, urging each to look deeper within themselves. Peter, his heart racing with newfound understanding, whispered, is it then our own conviction that holds keys to unlock the doors before us? Your conviction, yes, but even more so, your willingness to embrace the vulnerability of truth, Jesus affirmed, his eyes ablaze with warmth. In the unguarded heart lies the pathway to authentic freedom. But, remember that the journey is not solitary. Your connection with one another strengthens your resolve, for in community, you find courage. As the sun rose higher, gilding the edges of the world in warmth, transformative energy flowed through the gathering. The villagers began to nod in understanding, yet the question of what to let go remained, still perched at the edge of their souls. Could it be, Thomas pondered aloud, that the greatest challenge lies not in the letting go itself, but in the courage to face what we find when we do? What hidden truths linger in our hearts that we have yet to confront? The question resonated deeply, weaving itself into the fabric of their collective consciousness, a knot that still needed untangling in the light of their pursuit for spiritual freedom. As the sun climbed steadily in the sky, casting a brilliant light that illuminated the faces of the gathered, a palpable energy pulsed among them. Voices had risen in quiet discussions, each person reflecting the weight of Thomas' question, the signpost toward their collective reckoning. It was clear that the conversation had stirred the very roots of their souls, twisting and turning, seeking resolution. Jesus, noticing the profound nature of their contemplation, leaned slightly forward, inviting silence once more. What is it that stirs within you now? He asked gently, his voice like a stream flowing through a still valley. What truths lie in wait, beckoning you to acknowledge them? Martha, a woman of quiet strength, raised her head, her eyes shining with a mix of sunlight and tears. I have carried anger in my heart, Master, anger from those who have wronged me. Each day I fight to forgive but feel the grip of this past tightening around me. Is it possible that I must face this pain to free myself? Oh, my dear Martha, Jesus replied, his heart reaching toward her. You are not alone in this. Anger can be like a dense fog upon a path. You must walk through it to discover the light that lies beyond. Yet, facing pain is not to dwell in it, but to unearth and understand its roots. Why does it hold you? What truth does it reveal about your worth and your desires? Each wave of sorrow can wash ashore the remnants of wisdom, if you allow it. Peter, emboldened by the honesty in Martha's voice, spoke next. But what if confronting those truths leads to more pain? Would it not be easier to carry the burden of silence? To hide in comfort rather than step into the unknown? Jesus gazed at Peter with compassion. Ease, my friend, is a fleeting illusion. Growth often emerges from the depths of discomfort. Embrace your fears, for they are guides showing you where healing is needed. Ask yourself, what lies beyond that fear? Is it freedom or simply a return to the shadows of what was? The crowd grew still as they mulled over this potential dualistic haunting reminder of the balance between pain and liberation. Each heart wrestled with its own shadows that lingered like specters upon their lives, yet the promise of illumination glinted in the dawn's light. And what of the past? Sarah, a soft-spoken widow, ventured. Can memories bound in love anchor us as we seek to let go of burdens? Is there a risk of losing ourselves if we cast away the echoes of joy alongside the shadows? Memories can serve as both anchors and weights, dear Sarah, Jesus answered thoughtfully. Each memory you hold, each cherished moment of love, should be a stepping stone upon your path. As you discern what to release, allow those joyful memories to guide you rather than bind you. Your love possesses the power to illuminate the valleys of your pain. Yet, hold them lightly, for the future calls with new wonders to experience. As the sun ascended further, filling the air with warmth and vibrancy, the villagers felt an invisible bond tightening among them. They were not just individual seekers, they were a community entwined in shared honesty. They began to voice their hidden burdens: grief, jealousy, disappointment. Each revelation echoed as if in chorus. Could it be, Andrew mused, that we must confront the very essence of our fears to transform them into fuel for our journeys? What if each burden is not so much a weight but an invitation to seek deeper truths? Or, that is indeed a question worth carrying, Jesus affirmed, his voice entwined with the rising breeze. The courage to face your hidden fears propels you toward your true self. Embrace them, allow them to teach you. This is the freedom you seek. However, it is a dance, not a war, and must be undertaken with love and support from each other. In the midst of their newfound understanding, a silence enveloped them again, but this silence was different. It was filled with the promise of togetherness and the deep, unspoken yearning to face what remained unaddressed within. Yet, as they contemplated this profound moment of potential growth, a lingering question hung in the air: what if, in seeking to shed their burdens, they unearthed hidden aspects of their very beings they were unprepared to embrace? As the final rays of sunlight dipped beneath the horizon, casting the sky in a tapestry of twilight hues, a shift whirled through the gathered souls on the shore of Gennesaret. The night air thickened, enveloping them in an embrace that felt both uncomfortable and liberating, a moment ripe for transformation. Peter and Andrew, now anchored in their journey across the water, stood ready in the presence of Jesus, who shone with an otherworldly light, beckoning forth a powerful revelation. Lord, Peter exclaimed, his voice reverberating with urgency, we have sought answers, faced fears, and contemplated our burdens, but beyond this chaos, what awaits us when we truly let go? His heart raced as the question unfolded, revealing both vulnerability and strength, a blend that encapsulated the human experience. It was a question not just for himself but for the crowd, resonating within the depths of their collective yearning. Jesus stepped forward, eyes luminous with a knowing light, the kind that pierced through shadows and illuminated hidden paths. Beloved Peter, it is through surrender that you shall find the depths of your soul. The unknown may seem daunting, yet it is the sacred ground upon which transformation rises. With each word, he wrapped them in the warmth of understanding, stirring their spirits awake. As the disciples listened, the stillness of the night birthed an echo of truth. They were standing not just on water but at the threshold of something far greater, the invitation to a profound realization that connected each heart to the eternal rhythm of the divine. Jesus continued, to walk with me is to embrace the intricate dance of doubt and faith, the ebb and flow of trust, where your past does not bind you but propels you into embodiment of love. The villagers began to stir, the revelation washing over them like a gentle wave. In collective silence, they found courage to grapple with their fears, for within those very fears lay the seeds of liberation. Thomas, emboldened by the moment, spoke up, what if in our fear we cling to illusions, rather than allowing space for truth? How do we begin shedding those illusions to embrace the glorious expanse of freedom within us? Or, dear Thomas, Jesus reassured, the illusions that bind you are often constructed from the walls of your poster protective armor that remains long after its usefulness. It is time to dismantle these defenses, layer by layer. With each act of courage in facing your truth, you liberate your spirit further into the divine embrace. In that profound moment, realization swept through the assembly. They understood now that letting go was not merely an emptying, but an act of becoming, a shift from fear toward the essence of love that awaited them. Faces illuminated by flickering torchlight glowed with the light of possibility. It dawned on them, to step beyond their doubts meant not only confronting the abyss of their fears but also claiming their place in the divine tapestry of grace. A young woman named Miriam, her heart a tempest of hope and apprehension, stood firmly. And what becomes of our failures? She implored, her voice carrying the weight of countless unhealed wounds. Will they not haunt us as we try to embrace new beginnings? Each eye turned toward Jesus, awaiting his steady assurance amidst the questions swirling like a gentle breeze. Failures are but teachers, Miriam. They are not chains, but rather messages, whispers that guide you toward the wisdom hidden within your heart. When you embrace them, they turn into stepping stones of growth, illuminating the path ahead. With every word, Peter found clarity breaking through the fog of his hesitations. He understood now that the act of letting go rippled outward, inviting others along. A chorus of murmurs rose among the crowd. Shadows of doubt transformed into threads of light as they began to release their burdens, one by one, through shared stories of pain, forgiveness, and hope. Theirs was not a single journey but a collective metamorphosis. Is it possible, Andrew mused aloud, that the act of releasing may even show us our purpose? Rather than succumbing to the bonds of our past, could we, through the surrender, uncover who we are truly meant to be? At this profound contemplation, an ember ignited within each heart. Indeed, Jesus affirmed, the beauty lies in your willingness to step into the unknown, to discover the potential of the light within you. The essence of your journey transcends individual struggle, it blossoms into a shared awakening, where each of you carries forth the light into the lives of others. You are not alone in this endeavor, and thus, as the moon lighted the path before them, a warmth enveloped the villagers, prompting them to rise together. One by one, each villager, inspired and emboldened, began to voice their burdens, past regrets, fears of inadequacy, lost dreams transformed into hopes. They spoke amidst the congregation, their narratives weaving into one another like threads embroidered upon a holy tapestry. Heart by heart, they began releasing the anchors that had held them captive, inviting the transformative power of faith to take root. They cast fears into the waves, where foam cradled their offerings like a gentle blessing, promising to wash them momentarily away. And witnessing this, Peter and Andrew took each other's hands, their hearts racing together. They felt the pulse of faith connecting with the rhythm of the crowd, an undeniable thread between the resounding belief and the intention to step into the unknown. They stood strengthened by the shared consensus. As the first stars twinkled into being above the water, Jesus spoke once more, you have chosen this moment to step forward, embracing the unknown, releasing what no longer serves you. In that choice is ultimate freedom, the revelation of your true selves. Take heart and carry forth love, for the peace you seek is born of connection, trust, and the courage to stand in unity with one another. As dawn broke anew, casting a cascade of golden light upon the shores of Gennesaret, something breathtaking unfolded. Each heart, the hearts intertwined in divine purpose, felt the pulse of awakening. They were forever changed, enlightened in their understanding that to walk with faith is to embrace the ongoing ebb and flow of letting go. The last words of Jesus echoed through the gathering like waves upon the shore, reverberating deep within their souls, a reminder that spiritual liberation flourished not in isolation but within the beautiful tapestry of community. And there, with dawn rising, hope ignited anew, illuminating the hearts of all who gathered. They had discovered the sacred truth behind what truly frees. It is in the shared release of pain, the vulnerability of stepping into the light, and the unwavering embrace of love that they would journey onward together, ever seeking, ever becoming, forever transformed. In this, they found their purpose not just to walk upon the water, but to drink deeply from the well of divine love that flowed abundantly for all.